misuse it. So recently there's maybe Reddit or some people. There are some people trying to use deep learning to do earthquake prediction, and they publish in Nature Science. And some people, they open source and put data online, and some people did study about deep learning, about their study, and they cannot reproduce the result. And actually, they also say the results are not much better than, like, say, random forest or these techniques. Yeah, that's a sad story, but one thing is deep learning is very hot, but we want to use it carefully, also for reinforcement learning. So this one says that since deep learning is so hot, deep learning use neural architectures. So this technique neural architectures can search those architectures automatically, say by Google, or so they can find some say neural networks architectures for this data set very good. And before this, people manually design those architectures. So there are so many successful stories. Another question is, how about other real life applications? That's why we organize this workshop. So we want to bring together researchers and practitioners from industry and academia, and interested in addressing practical and theoretical issues in applying R to real life scenarios. We want to, we don't want to leave either researcher or practitioner out. These two groups of people need to work together, and reinforcement learning is actually not very theoretical sound yet for practical uses. So these two groups of people need to work together, and we organize this workshop in a top-tier machine learning conference, and we want to attract people to come together and discuss. So we have 3 excellent invited talks, and we invited 7 panelists, so have very good panel discussion. And we have, this is the first time, but we have 60 contributed, also invited posters and papers. That's a very big number, so we have a big room. And we have 35 PC members help us review papers and help us a lot. We have a website. We put lots of links, say for video of event talks, for papers, and some posters. We put them on this website, and these are the co-chairs, me in the middle. Oh, by the way, if you have any question, please stop me. And let me give one slide introduction about machine learning, reinforcement learning. Machine learning, it's about learning from data and make predictions, decisions. There's super learning with label data, and super learning without label, and reinforcement learning with some feedback, evaluative feedback, but no supervised signal. And this is a very popular diagram for reinforcement learning. For agent, it receives some state and take some action, receive some reward, and transition to next state. It's a very general framework, but it can model many problems. So it's just like this picture shows that reinforcement learning is related to many subjects. For example, like say open research, like economics, engineering, science. So reinforcement learning basically can be everywhere. And now I will start to talk about the content of the workshop. The first invited talk is from David Silver. It's from our department. That's I think that's our pride. So, and reinforcement learning is we have a great reinforcement learning center here. So, since we are talking about real life reinforcement learning, so why David Silver talk of StarCrowd? Because it's a pretty good model for real life scenarios. It's about real-time strategy games, about large number of actions, and about high complexity. It's of high complexity among video games, and it's a major challenge for real-world AI, like partial observability, imperfect information, large action space, strategy cycles. Because players can learn after playing with each other, so the strategy may change after round and round. So, games is a very good test bed for AI and reinforcement learning algorithms. So DeepMind want to focus on this, and once they are successful in this in StarCraft, these techniques can be helpful to other applications. And the video link is actually on the website, and there is also a blog about this StarCraft Alpha Star. So probably I won't talk about details, since otherwise there may be too many. The second invited talk is by John Longford from Microsoft. So he did lots of things on the multi-bounded, context-bounded, and reinforcement learning and other machine learning topics. When he talked about how to do reinforcement learning in real life scenarios, he mentioned that suggested that we need to shift the priority of from the left side, the down red arrow to the factors in the right side, the green up arrow. That his opinion probably worth considering when we want to make reinforcement learning practical. So, like say guided reinforcement learning generation, say features rather than state. Sometimes the state may be too complex even to represent. So maybe we focus on features rather than state. One news he announced that during the workshop is the decision series created by them has been chosen as the winner of the inaugural 2018 ACM SIG AI Industry Award. That's a practical system offered by Microsoft. Also, we also have the video link, and this one I need to mention. This year's New York and ICML, they are industry day. They call Expo Day. So the first day of ICML is about Expo industries, talks, workshops, demonstrations, and Microsoft, led by John, they have a real-world reinforcement learning workshop. The name is very similar to ours, but they have, I think, 1.5 day. So you can see more details about their work, recent work.
Question?
Yeah.
In John's talk, did he have a specific example of a real-world application he focused on, or did he talk about several of them?
Actually, he didn't give specific examples. He basically, I think, he prepared, focus several minutes on this, say the guidelines, principles. What probably is more for researchers, but practitioners may also check those things to see maybe want to do more about this side rather than that side.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he didn't talk about games in particular. He didn't.
I think they have say decision services. So I think some their paper is 2016. It's describing this decision series. They built something. They put they call them explore, log, learn, and deploy this into a loop in the single software system. And I think that their focus is on contextual bounded problems, techniques for maybe these are concrete problems. So in this paper, there are several example applications, and you can see it can improve the performance quite a lot. So maybe previously people use super learning to do those tasks. If you are using contextual bounded, it can improve this much. So using this service. So that's why I want to say contextual bounded is kind of mature technique for this kind of if for example super learning is applied to problems, the data is basically IID, it doesn't change over time. But for contextual bounded, the data distribution may change and people's interests may change. So this may be if you have not tried this kind of service yet, maybe that's it's valuable for industry. There are several applications like news website, technical support assistance, cloud controller, these things. In there, I think this is part of their their services. And actually, they mentioned something called recognizer or something. But if you actually check their website, they have several slides in their workshop. Okay, so yeah, Craig Botelier. So he is now in Google. He was probably many people know he's a professor. I think he's still a professor in Toronto, and he also now works in Google. They are doing something very practical. So when his focus is about user-facing IR and, for example, recommendation in for YouTube. And for this kind of user-facing IR, there are a large number of users' actions, and there are, for example, the action site may be changing. And say we probably cannot see the users say happiness, degree of happiness, those things, and the people in the system may affect each other. So there are many issues in those user-facing visual learning, and he focused on something called slate recommendation. So when YouTube want to recommend videos, they usually they are in a set of videos, so they call it slate. So they are basically it's choose K from some big N, choose K videos put on the homepage of YouTube from a large number of N. So that's it's a big combinatorial problems. So this may cause many issues. But one good thing is he gave some concrete definition of visual learning. When we want to use visual learning to do some practical tasks, we need to have those kind of elements, for the essential element of visual learning, like state, action, reward, discount factor, and we need to define those things. When we define those things, then we can we may use visual learning to solve this problem. So this is for practical uses. And for this problem, they can define state as a user features, history, contextual features, and for actions, maybe the possible states, many of them. So that's one way to do that. And they gave a concrete paper, actually, a paper about how to do this. They call it slate Q. I think the main technique is they underlying some assumptions. They can decompose the slate Q value into item Q value. Yeah, I didn't introduce Q value, but that's a important factor in visual learning. If we know Q value, we can know the policy. Policy is strategy, basically. So if they can calculate this slate Q value using those item Q values, then the problem may be much easier to solve, and some assumptions. So yeah, they have a paper about this, and there's a video about the talk. Okay, yeah. So in his talk, he also mentioned something called REC-SIM. It's a recommender system simulation. So actually he correct himself. We have a poster session. He himself present this poster to us. So that's great. But the brief message is they built this kind of a simulator. That's a for visual learning problems, and for nowadays we are in a big data time. So for visual learning problems, we usually need lots of data. So the data may come from interacting with some system, or maybe from some model or simulator. So for example, say YouTube has lots of data. So they may use those data to build something, say build a simulator. And with this simulator, they can generate many data. And using this data, we may build some model. So that's why they built this recommendation simulator. And other people, yeah, I don't know. They just have this poster. The paper is not online yet, and so I'm not quite sure if they will open source this or not. But yes, but there are a couple more papers about building model, so other people can use. By the way, the decision service, I think I read the paper briefly. They open source this one, the open source. So if you are interested, you can check the paper and the open source this. And if you check this workshop link, they put something into on their website for Microsoft. Yeah, so I think the message is Google, YouTube, they built some simulator for the recommendation system. So hopefully they will open source and other people can use that. Okay, panelists. Yeah, and questions. I already talked about 3 United talks, but it's probably too general. But hopefully, I want to send you the message that reinforcement learning will be useful, practical, maybe make money for somebody soon. Yes. Hopefully I can, but probably not very technical. Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, I need probably one or 2 weeks. I hope to, for example, reading those papers, kind of run out of time, but so for technical talks, probably after 2 weeks. Now I hope to, tell you, we have those kind of interesting things, and some they already put into the system, try them. So I call them, yeah, there are several papers, I will mention that. Yeah, if you don't have questions, I will continue. Yeah, we have very good panelists, you can see. Yeah, all these people are very good. And you can see there's a very important audience. Probably you know him. We have lots of very good audience, and one is there. Yeah, there are several panel discussion questions. The first question is, what application area are most promising for reinforcement learning? That's probably a very important question for this workshop. And the answers the panelists gave us are say personalization or recommendation. For example, for news stories, for advices, for advertisements, those kind of things. And system optimization. Actually, this system optimization, there can be many things. For example, I just now mentioned the neural architecture search, and there are also papers from Google. They are doing data augmentation. For example, you are doing computer vision tasks, and you want to augment the data. You see the picture, you tilt the picture, and you remove some pixels, those kind of things, and they can do data augmentation automatically using reinforcement learning. So there's a paper by one author, it's called Lur, and you can find that. And the system optimization also can refer to many other things. For example, in data center, the cloud computing, how to scheduling those say computers or virtual machines, and in computer system. Actually, there's a paper. They are doing many things. I will visit that later. And there is a talk. It's not part of the workshop, but I think that's very good. It's our overview of Google's work on AutoML and future directions. Reinforcement learning is an important technique for that, and it's by Jeff Dean. Jeff Dean is Google's some big guy in Google. So it's on the HTML workshop, HTML streaming. You can find that, but if you remember this title, you can search it somewhere. And people also mentioned open research. I think that's a very interesting area. Open research, approximate dynamic learning, and reinforcement learning. These fields are overlapping a lot, and many technical questions like say supply chain, like inventory management, these can be modeled as the dynamic learning. And maybe nowadays deep reinforcement learning has so much power, so maybe can do better than some classical approaches. So that's an interesting direction to look at. Recently, in the AI seminar, there are professors from this school. They gave a couple talks. So there should be interesting collaboration among the business school people or management science people. And robotics, yeah, that's a classical reinforcement learning applications. Okay. Yeah, too general. I don't know.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. Yeah. Second, another question is, what are general principles for applying R to real life applications? Yeah, that's also very important. Right? How to use R. So the first question is make sure R is the right solution. If a problem can't be solved by super learning, don't use superlearning. Don't use superlearning. Superlearning is much more mature than superlearning in practice and maybe also in theory. Probably also in theory. And contextual bounded is that's the right solution. Then don't use a full RL. If full RL is the right solution, then we try that. And frame the RL problem right. We have state action reward. How to define those things may change the quality of the solution. Another thing is simulator. That's currently many reinforcement learning papers are on simulations. But simulation may have a big gap with reality. So simulation is helpful, but may not be perfect. So we may need some method to bridge this gap. And reward objective function, these are actually very important. There's just a story about some king. He want to say turn everything I touch into gold. What happened?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a problem. So we need to define the reward object function properly to make reinforcement or even just optimization problem correct. Some people may not agree with this. We need to integrate with domain experts help. This may be very helpful, especially at this stage of reinforcement applications. And we want reinforcement to scale well with resources, data, computation, and memory. This is important for deep learning. It will also be important for reinforcement. And this one is some general comment. I think reinforcement may be very easy to find. Actually, that's also my experience. I can see so many reinforcement problems, but so far I don't. No one gave me money to do that. So it's hard to convince other people to do that. So maybe if you do a startup, you may also face this problem. Or if you want to collaborate with, for example, say some company, say Alpha company. Although you think, okay, this is just reinforcement problem, why not do it? But they may think, oh, actually there's a story. Reinforcement is looking for the forward, looking for in the long term. But for some public companies, they hope the stock price is always good. Yeah. But say the reinforcement is looking for long term, but some short term the performance may not be good. So they hope the performance is always good, and it is not bad. So there may be some contradiction between those things. But maybe it's related to say safety or those things. But to constrain the action, we just choose some actions. So the stock price is always increasing something. But we may try that. But in this case we may lose some opportunities. Yeah, this is maybe, for example, one factor. I actually heard some story about some big boss they don't want to use IR because it's only considered about long term.
What they use instead? Instead of RL, they just make single shot decisions. Is that what option B is, or what? If they don't use RL, what do they use instead?
Oh, maybe they just use super learning, and hopefully it's good. Yeah.
Just one single decision.
Yeah, maybe. But so for the pure IL, just think about long-term decisions, but some temporary decision or some interim decision may not be so good, or maybe even worse. For example, the sorted path problem, we don't go to this. We may not go to the shortest neighbor, so it may look not so good, but for the long run it goes to sorted path.
Pick the best.
Yeah. So yeah.
Why did you say not everybody agrees with integration with domain experts?
Actually, this is if somebody is here, this may cause some big debate. Some people think, for example, AlphaZero, it doesn't need any human knowledge. You can just build a very strong AlphaGo program without any, human engineering, human knowledge into the for example, building features, those things, but just learning from scratch, AlphaZero. So for some problems, without any human knowledge, R can be very good. But for many problems, especially practical problems, R may not be so good. Okay.
So do you know of any examples where RL is used in, say, in biology or like cells or something like that?
Actually, I have a big overview. Later on, you can check that. I put some paper there. Yeah.
So regarding the first bullet point, somebody said that we have to make sure that RL is the right solution. So does that mean that RL may not be the right solution, or we can reformulate the problem such that RL is the best solution?
Yeah, for example, if some problem is a super learning problem, for example, just classification of, say, dog or cat. So this kind of problem, if you have enough data and there's no dynamics and the data just IID, say, it's probably we don't use R, we just use super learning, some super learning techniques. So yeah, I think that's some example. But concrete problems, we may do some concrete analysis.
What about control problems?
Yeah, control problem. I think usually R or control or BP problem. I think usually, there are dynamics in the system. Usually, R problem should be better if there are enough say, data or model. Yeah.
You have said the human previous knowledge not included in AlphaGo. However, if human previous knowledge are innate in the RL, will that increase the learning impact?
So actually for the AlphaGo, I think the latest AlphaGo version from DeepMind is AlphaGo 0. They don't use any human knowledge. But the first version they use, for example, they use previous games to do people call it the imitated learning or learning from those the demonstrations. Actually, AlphaGo 0 can beat this kind of algorithms. So human knowledge in this sense doesn't help for this particular say AlphaGo problem. But for many problems so far, I think human knowledge and that's your opinion. That's kind of also my opinion. Human knowledge will be helpful. Design, for example, reward function, maybe design state action reward, those things. Human knowledge probably helpful. Yeah. Okay, there are more questions. And this guy is big guy. No, he's kind of crazy. He gave 80 pages notes just after the conference about the whole conference, and you can see some discussion or some kind of transcript of the panel discussion. Yeah, unfortunately we didn't. We didn't take the video for this panel discussion, since we didn't get all the permissions. But you can check this HTML note. Yeah, just that's yeah. I cannot do that. Maybe you can do this. 80 pages just in 3 or 4 days notes, and pretty good note. Okay, some comments from panelists. R has art and science components, not just science. They are, also arts. And some years ago, people talked about applying machine learning in industry, and machine learning now is in many production systems. Now we are talking about R, so maybe in 1 or 2 or 3 years, R will be in many production systems. And say once the foundation is right, R will be everywhere. Yeah, this picture also shows that the workshop was very well attended. 550 people room filled by full house. Yeah, it's a full house event. So that's great.
What does it mean by once the foundation is right? What does that mean?
I think this basically says that there are still some theoretical issues to be solved. It's not perfectly solved or not close to a very good stage, some problem. And that's why we also want to bring both researchers and practitioners together. So, but on the other hand, reinforcement can also be helpful for many problems. Yeah. So theory is still important and it still need to be improved, but we can now we can do something. Okay, I think let me see. Okay. We choose 4 batch papers. This is one of them. Maybe I speed up a little bit. This is from Facebook. Facebook is a big social media company, and they put reinforcement learning into their system. And they open source this. It's called Horizon. You can find it online. I think that's a very big news for reinforcement learning, and they try, they put some pipeline, they design some features for this system, and they apply it to some notification services and video bit rate adaptation, and also something called time session in messengers. Say Facebook, they put something using reinforcement learning, and they have some kind of performance improvement. So that's there's a blog and there's also a paper in our website. This is another best paper. It's about some kind of a projection paper. Basically, they gave 9 challenges. Yeah, probably I won't read them. So maybe if you are interested, you can remember the title and check it on our website. So I think this basically for the continuous action space. For example, the robotics, and they gave nine challenges we need to consider when we try to apply reinforcement learning. Okay. Yeah, this one I like this paper. That's actually my PhD was in networks, and actually this is more than networks. It's about computing. Let me zoom in. I think. Can I zoom in? Oh, I cannot. But yeah, maybe it's about they built a simulator for many system issues. For example, can you see that? Say one is like say. It's not so clear, but it's about say server load balancing. It's about circuit design. It's about say congestion control. It's about bit rate adaptation. There are 13 of them, and it's from a big group of people. They are system people. It's about computer system, about the operating system, networking, distributed system, database, hardware design. Many problems in system, and they built this into a platform. So if you are in this field, you want to try reinforcement learning, and they try to hide those details, system details from machine learning researchers. But if you are in both sides, maybe you can do something for this platform and improve it and do research in system issues. And for system issues, many problems I think are pretty good for reinforcement learning to try. That at least they are good research questions. There's another best paper. It's kind of theory paper. It's about safety. For example, they want to guarantee that for the policy update, each step is safe in some sense, or almost safe. Yeah, this also maybe answer a George's question. This is another paper from Microsoft. They are the focus is still the technology is contextual bounded, and they do intent disambiguation and contextual recommendation for the customer support part. And they have these 2 case studies, and they present 13 lessons when they build these systems. So I think that this will be very helpful if you want to use say contextual bounded to some problem. They gave lots of practical advices or lessons they learned. For example, they suggest to regularize towards the logging policy, kind of using embedded learning. These things, they are kind of like using human knowledge. These are previous people use. They are, although may not be perfect, but they are good and not dangerous, probably not dangerous. So, and consider reward engineering and safety. These using human knowledge mostly. Yeah, this may be. I think this is particularly interesting for people in computer vision. They want to build some. This one is already open source. They want to do something for cooking using reinforcement learning, and there are lots of computer vision issues. For example, some food, the shape will change after you cut it. So how can the algorithm identify those food as basically the same thing? So there needs some recurrent learning for those kind of things. So they built this kind of system, and it's open source. so many papers. This one is video rate adaptation. They try it in Facebook system. So when you play Facebook, there are some videos on your site. There are actually some algorithms trying to help you to decide what the next bit rate will be. So they build a system to help you decide that. And they saw that they improved the system performance a little bit using the real system. Yeah, that's a good thing, I think. There are several papers they are trying on the real system, in the production system. So that's maybe one indicator. Reinforcement learning will be going into practice soon, more and more. Yeah, we invited some posters. And actually, this one is also invited. So we have about 15 or so invited posters. This is first time. We also want to. We know some people they are doing good work, so we invite them to come here, come to the workshop to share their experience with others. So this one is another paper for YouTube. They do top K, and they do something called O policy. O policy. Yeah, this is a technical term. For reinforcement learning, usually if we have on policy, that means we want to learn this policy, and we hope the data is from this policy, so we can evaluate it and maybe improve it afterward. But usually in the practice, the data may be from other policies, so we need some old policy technique to learn from those data. So they use this technique. Thus, for YouTube, many data are from some other policies. Maybe we don't know. So they are designing some techniques to using those data, and they can do top K, say a policy learning and optimization for the YouTube. So actually, this paper is the talk is the WSDM is some data mining workshop by industry day presentation. So if you are interested, you can check this YouTube.
Are your slides going to be available for us later on? Because it's nice to get at least the information.
Maybe send me private message. Just I will go to, for example, I go to China. I may present this to some other group. So if you are interested, send me message. I can.
Or maybe if you could just have a list of just the different URLs you mentioned.
Oh, okay. One thing is actually we are preparing for a summary of the workshop.
Okay.
So
we'll be there.
It's about now it's 13 pages or something. Maybe mid June. Maybe I'll send a message to yes.
Mid-June?
July.
Oh, sorry. Mid-June 2020. Okay, sorry. Now it's June, but okay. Mid-June. We are discussing that and we'll put it on the archive. So I think that's a good way to disseminate those things. Yeah, this is actually an SML paper. We just invite them to. They are already there. Why not come to our workshop and talk with other people? So it's about. Yeah, this is about just now there's a paper called recommendation system simulator. This is also about recommendation system. It's also about generating a simulator. It's using now the popular technique, generative adversarial networks, GAN. So they are using these techniques and they build this model for both the dynamics and the reward, and they have good results. And it's collaboration between Geotech and Ant Financial. That's part of the related to Alibaba. Yeah, this is actually last year's new lyrics. They are about data center cooling. They are using something called model predictive control. Yeah, the control people will know this much better than I know. So, but the message is they can use this technique and do good things in the control setting. Data center. Okay, this is about it's from DB. It's